So Snail Games just finished their third quarter 2024 earnings conference call, and they go on to talk about the Ark franchise. And I thought this would be an interesting video for me to sort of give my summary of what they talked about in this call, how successful Ark's been doing, and kind of a look into the future as they talk about how the DLC releases work. It's very interesting to see. They also mentioned the animated series and the upcoming stuff. Now, one thing I do want to mention in this video, guys, is they do not mention Ark 2 in this conference call. So I think it's nailed on pretty much 100%. I mean, I never believed it was anyway this late, but Ark 2 is not coming this year, guys. I know it will say 2024 still at the moment, but it will not be coming this year. There is no chance, absolutely no chance. But if you guys do enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and let's dive in to today's video. So yeah, I just finished listening to it, and it was a 16-minute long call. Some boring bits in there, so I'll try and just skip out those boring bits. I wouldn't want to just upload the call for 16 minutes because there's lots of not very interesting stuff not relating to Ark. But they were talking about, obviously, how they released the Aberration DLC in September with the Bob's Tall Tales Part 2, and they actually mentioned that they generated revenue of 8.2 million. Now, when you think about that, that's pretty crazy, considering that, like, you know, a lot of people that have already purchased Bob's Tall Tales don't need to pay for anything again. So the fact that they're still generating revenue of up to 8.2 million, promoting it to new players or people that might not have purchased Bob's Tall Tales yet, is interesting, right? Because you have to remember, like, some people might not choose to, like, purchase it for Scorched Earth. They might thought, oh, it's not worth it, and then they see the stuff that comes out of Aberration, and they're like, all right, you know, I'm going to give this a go now. And then it's the same for Extinction that's coming up next. You know, some people might be like, right, I didn't get it for Aberration, wasn't a big fan, and then they see the Mad Max stuff that comes with Bob's Tall Tales Part 3 Wasteland War, and they're like, I'm going to give it a go. So it does seem to show that Ark is still generating a very large amount of revenue. They go on to talk, obviously, about, you know, the game's future, the game's franchise, and they go on to mention about how their DLC schedule has changed. They have mentioned this before, but they go over how the new development cycle for the Ark DLCs is now 3 months apart. Beforehand, it was 2 months apart, and they've said that the reason they've done this is to give themselves more time as a whole sort of team to work on the quality of life experience in Ark Survival Ascended, which personally I think as a whole community we'd be very happy about that, because I do see a lot of comments in the comment section saying, like, you know, why are, you know, Wildcard are throwing us all this content but not fixing the most important stuff of the game, which is actually fixing it and getting it upgraded to the next Unreal Engine. So I don't mind at the fact that DLC releases are now 3 months apart instead of 2 months. I do like the idea that they're focusing more on fixing the game, because that's always been something. I feel like the amount of times I've just talked about fixing the game throughout my whole time being a YouTuber in Ark is absolutely crazy. But that's what they mentioned there. One thing that they don't really mention is the community maps. I feel like because Snail Games are the publishers, they kind of really only tend to focus on the storyline DLCs and the paid season passes, because it's a financial call, right? So that's mainly what they're talking about. So we're kind of having to work out as a community, where are these DLC maps fitting in? Where are these expansion maps fitting in with the DLC maps? You know, we know that Ragnarok is coming March 2025. We know that Extinction is coming next month. And then what doesn't really make sense is if, you know, December. So if they're doing 3-month releases, so that is 3 months onwards from Ragnarok, right? But when does that mean we're going to see Genesis 1, Genesis Part 2? Because I know Genesis Part 1 will definitely come after Ragnarok, right? Because they're going to focus more on getting these, like, story maps completed and finished. But I think what that does show me moving forward within the Ark community and with what maps are coming out is there is no way that every single community mod map will make it this year. It won't be happening. I do not see us getting Fjorda unless they're working. We know that Wildcard are working with Nakatus, the mod creator, to get Valguero out. So by the sound of things, Valguero will make its way into the game at some point into 2025, because obviously they wouldn't have done an announcement at Extra Life. But if we get the old roadmap up while I'm talking about it here, I know the old roadmap really doesn't mean anything, because, you know, it's all completely changed. But I just want to obviously see what's coming up next. So, you know, so we've got Extinction in December. And then we've got, someone's made like a kind of an updated one, which I'm reading now. And then we have March, which was said to be Valguero, but it's not. It's actually going to be Ragnarok now. So that's kind of right. And then 3 months, so we've got April, May, June. So June will most likely be Genesis Part 1. And then we have July, August, September, which I'm guessing could either be Crystal Isles, or it depends if they're doing one story map, one story map, one paid map, or something like that. So it'll either be Crystal Isles in September, or they will speed run and do Genesis 1, then Genesis 2 in September. And then there's only one more space for another map in the year, which is December 2025. So the lineup onwards from there is December Extinction, March Ragnarok, June Genesis, September either, we'll say Crystal Isles for now, and then December Genesis Part 2. That leaves the Lost Island and Fjorda, which probably now won't launch until 2026. Also, something we do have to bear in mind, guys, is at some point this year, we are getting news at the end of this year on the next paid story expansion for Ark Survival Ascended. So if that's going to come out in 2025, that may mean we will miss a map. So if this is the case, I could see, right, this could generally be the case. December's Extinction, March is Ragnarok, confirmed, Genesis Part 1 is June, Genesis Part 2 is September, and December 2025 could be the next paid DLC. That is a way Studio Wildcard may go down to focus on the maximum income. Then that will leave Crystal Isles, Lost Island, and Fjorda. And don't get me wrong, I want those maps more than ever. I love Fjorda. Crystal Isles is a beautiful map, so is Lost Island. But I think from a revenue point of thing, I think that is a potential way they could go down and then end us off next year in December with the final paid DLC. Personally, it's not a bad year if you think about it, because we get 1, 2, 3, 4 maps in 1 year alongside a whole bunch of other stuff, because, you know, we've also got to look forward to the Unreal Engine update, which is coming Q1 2025, which hopefully is what they'll work on to get done, so that we won't have it for Extinction, but hopefully they'll work on it to get it before Ragnarok comes. A kind of February time update would be pretty solid for the Unreal Engine update. But yeah, overall the future is bright for Ark. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but there's lots. We're getting to a point where we're getting all the maps released, and by the end of 2025, we should have a very, very nice group of maps that have come out within the 2-year span of the game. But we'll just see, right? And this is just me just working off information I have from the Snail Games call. And they talk about the animated series. They couldn't talk about viewership numbers because that's down to Paramount Plus. But that's really a look into the future of how Ark's doing, what we're looking forward to next, and I hope this gives you guys a good summary. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in my next one very soon.